So what should you know when it comes to developing a website for your small business? Should you build your website yourself? Do you need SEO for your website? And how much should you spend? In today's video, I'm going to be covering 3 of my top tips when it comes to developing a website for your small business. Hey, what's up guys? Colby here, helping you go further with your small business marketing. Tip number 1, should you build your website yourself? So there's a few factors that go into building your website and should you build it yourself. So I'd say the first one is really you've got to evaluate your competition around you. You got to evaluate how many competitors you have in the market, but you also have to look at how old is your business? Are you just starting out? If you are and you don't have a ton of competitors in your market, yeah, I'd recommend building your website yourself. You've got websites like website builders like Squarespace, you've got Wix. Those builders are really user-friendly. But if you're going into a market where there's a lot of competitors, you've been in the industry for a few years, I'd highly recommend getting an agency to build out your website. And there's going to be a few things that an agency is going to be able to provide that you may not be able to do yourself. Normally when you partner with an agency, they're going to have key individuals that specialize in SEO writing, web development, content writing. All of these things play a major factor in getting your website to rank high in Google. Another thing that you need to look at is you need to go to Google and Google what your service is in your area to see what your competitors are doing as well. Tip number 2, how much should you really spend on getting a website developed for your business? So the range is very wide when it comes to pricing on website. You've got some individuals that may charge anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000, all the way to the other end of the spectrum where agencies are charging anywhere from $25,000, $30,000, $40,000 for a website. What you have to evaluate is what you're getting in that package from that developer. Are you getting content writing? Are you getting stock images if you need stock images? Are you getting wireframing and layout of the website? Are you getting an account manager or a project manager to walk you through the process? There's a lot of things that go into these packages that you really want to look into to make sure you're getting the most for what you're spending on that site. Tip number 3, do I need to focus on SEO? So SEO is a very kind of broad topic you can talk about. You can talk about titles and meta descriptions all the way down to alt tags. You got on-page SEO versus off-page SEO. There's so many factors that go into getting you to rank high on Google. But when it comes to building a basic website, there's a few things that you can do on your website or an agency can do on your website to make sure that it ranks well inside of Google. Really, the big thing that Google is looking at is the clarity and the flow of content on your website. You want to make sure that the content on your website is to the point and it's what the viewer or the end user is looking for. So if you have a lot of fluff on your website, Google's they're going to bypass that. What you want is that, again, that clarity and what that end user is looking for. And this is a big thing. You as a small business owner, you probably get calls really often of agencies saying, hey, let me do your SEO. Let me do your titles and meta descriptions. We know that happens a lot. And so what I would recommend doing if you do partner with an agency now, or if you plan to partner with an agency in the future, ask them for those titles and meta descriptions before they put that on your website. Review that, look at it. That agencies should know best when it comes to what needs to be written for that. But you need to look at that and review that to make sure it's actually going on your website. So when it comes to SEO, there's a handful of things. You need to look at what your competitors are doing. You need to look at how your competitors are ranking inside of Google. If there's not a ton of competition on Google, absolutely put that SEO work into your website so you can rank high. So if you're a plumber, if you're a roofer, if you're a painter, those individuals, people are looking for those services. And so you need to rank well inside of Google so that people can find you online. So again, in this video, this is just a few tips to help you when you're looking at having a website built. Do you need to build it yourself or do you need to get an agency to build it? Really, how much should you spend on a website? And do you need SEO? Those are a few things that I would highly recommend looking at and evaluating before you start that process.